Hello and welcome to another episode of Bison Insider. I'm your host, Mr. John McLemore, and today I am joined by uh, by a very special guest, somebody who hails from the great tropical island of Jamaica. I almost forgot there, Mr. Othneal Wilson. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with some easy questions for you. Since we already know your name, what position do you hold at the Job Corps Center?
Well, currently I am the Director of Student Support Services at the Burdick Job Corps Center, and that position typically oversees the Health and Wellness Center, the residential living facility, as well as recreation, um, safety, security, fire prevention, and we do look at as well the office of the SPO, and of course there's a HR outfit that the subcontractor does oversee as well.
Okay, so you got a lot on your plate.
Yeah, a bit.
Um, how long have you been with us?
Well, I have been at the Burdick Job Corps Center since September of 2018, so that's just about 1 year and 8 months.
Okay, that's a good time frame for you. So a little bit harder questions now. Not necessarily that they're harder, but they make you think a little bit. Um, since we've all been sequestered and in quarantine or in self-isolation, have you picked up any new hobbies or have you perfected an old hobby?
Well, to be honest, I have not. I think what I've tried to do really is to keep pace with, being fit. And I think one of the challenges that I'm having right now is because the gyms are closed. So, that is really something that you have to typically do at home, and, to try to find, a gauge between inside and outside. So that's basically what I've, been trying to do, among other things.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, I know from talking to you in the past, and some of our viewers and subscribers may not know this, but you've had a few jobs in your day. Thinking of those jobs, is there any one of them that is more interesting or most interesting?
I think I think for me, one of what would have been rather interesting is, just working with youth as a classroom teacher. I've recognized that, it is one of those areas that you really make the most impact, and that is somewhat of, the platform on which I was able to build my Job Corps career, because of course I've had such a great career as an educator. And I think being in this level of management in the Job Corps program would have caused me to be able to draw on some of those skills that I would have, developed over those several years that I was an educator. So I think that really for me would have been significant, because one of the things is, you typically don't get an opportunity after these youngsters would have developed fulsomely and would have gone on their own to be able to make a lasting impact, and for them to be able to make a significant contribution to society. So getting this opportunity right here and now is something that every individual that has that privilege should seize and make the most of it.
Okay. Um, if money was no problem, no object, you had all the money in the world that you possibly could, what is one thing, only one thing, that you would purchase and why?
I think I would try to gain a little bit more happiness. I don't think that anyone in this world can survive without a certain level of happiness, and happiness comes in various forms, and people rely on family as friends. There are so many different vehicles that one can drive towards happiness. But I think happiness is really what is most important. And I think there are several individuals that would have, at the surgeon of their careers, would have, stared and look, at the sunset and say, hey, I wished, at this point in time, I could have, created for myself a little bit more happiness. So I think there's no value that can be placed on happiness. I mean, it comes in various forms, but it is really, really significant, and it's most important to all of us as humans.
That's a much different response than I would normally get to that question. So I appreciate the honesty with that question too. So we just got a couple more questions here. Almost out of our allotted time to try to keep this thing in. But hypothetically, now this is a hypothetical question. You're stranded on an island. You have food, you have water, you have shelter, you have fire, you have the means to defend yourself from wild animals. As you're sitting there on the beach and you're looking around at your area that you have created and you have all these supplies, you see off in the distance a plane and it crashes on the other side of your island that you're on. Where do you bury the survivors?
Wow. Well, I'm not sure. I am not sure if there are any survivors on the basis that I'm already on the island, so to speak, and I'm not sure if you'd want to bury the survivors because they would have survived. So, we would typically be looking for, bodies, of individuals that did not survive versus those that survived. So, yeah.
Okay, so you didn't fall for it. So that's a good.
Took me a minute right there.
I was expecting you to say, well, just dig a grave, but you were smarter than I thought.
It took me a minute to, nah, there ain't no survivors that we're going to be buried right now. Yeah.
Any last words of encouragement or comments for our students for today?
Well, one of the things that I really, appreciate, is this quote from Winnie the Pooh. And I think that a lot of our students typically would have had some interactions with Winnie the Pooh. And it goes as thus: you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and love more than you'll ever know. And that is what I want to leave with all of our students right now. Though we are not seeing you physically face to face at this point in time, our hearts go out to each and every one of you and your families. And we hope that you remain safe, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So that's all the time we do have. I really appreciate Mr. Wilson for coming in and taking the time to have this little back and forth here. One of the things that I want to remind everybody: make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube page. Check our Facebook page as well. It's called the Burdick Job Corps Community. There's a lot of good stuff there. All the rest of the episodes and all the future episodes of the Bison Insider will be there. And in normal fashion that I always do, one final thought. And the final thought is this: what do you call a cow with only 2 legs?
I'm not sure if I should answer that one.
Well, you call it lean beef.
I don't know how you came up with that one, John. Where did you find that one?
I find them all over the place.
Lean beef.
Lean beef. If it only has 2 legs, it's got to lean.
Oh, I see. I got you. I got you.
Well, stay safe, and we'll see everybody soon.